.52 on this cool Thursday morning, and author Jayson Lusk, welcome to Breakfast Television. So you're the author of The Food Police, and I was actually thinking about you yesterday in the grocery store. I'm looking at the strawberries that are on sale for $4, or the organic ones that are $8, and then I'm in the freezer section. Do I get not GMO free? So you're here to kind of debunk what we think we know about food. So for starters, organic food, are we throwing away our money? Please tell me I'm not.
Well, I don't think there's one right choice for every family. It's going to depend on what you're willing to pay and sort of what your priorities are. So I'm not against organic foods, but I am against bad arguments for buying organic foods. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, the things people believe about organics are not necessarily supported by the scientific literature. For example, most of the research suggests they're not going to be any more nutritious or any safer. A lot of people think organics are not made with pesticides, but in fact they do use pesticides. They use natural pesticides. And so a lot of things that people think about organic foods aren't necessarily true.
So they're not necessarily better for us then?
Not necessarily, and there might be other reasons that you might want to buy them. There's maybe some environmental benefits. And again, the research shows there might be a slight reduction in pesticides that are applied, but again, it's just a trade-off. There are no easy choices in life. So
then that does bring up the conversation of genetically modified foods, because that is everywhere. So is that something that we need to be concerned about, or same kind of thing?
I think if you look at the best research and science that we have available, there's absolutely nothing to be fearful of. The research from all our major scientific authorities in the US and Canada, even in Europe, suggest that crops produced through biotechnology are no riskier than crops produced through conventional breeding techniques. So I think you have nothing to be concerned about, and in fact a lot to be hopeful for in terms of biotechnology. There are a lot of potential environmental benefits and benefits that farmers can see on their field, and I think in the future we'll probably see some benefits even as consumers, as we get maybe healthier varieties or traits that even give us something that we might even be willing to pay more for.
So what are we supposed to do as a consumer, because we're so far removed from our food supply? I mean, I think, I know there's a number of schools even in this city where they make sure they take kids out to farms and say, this is where the eggs come from. And a lot of kids say, well, the eggs come from the grocery store, right? So what are we as consumers supposed to do to educate ourselves and not just essentially or potentially throwing our money away on some of these things?
Well, I think what you just described is a great thing to do, and that is to actually talk to a farmer. And I think a lot is said about farmers, and often they don't bring farmers into that discussion too, or the farmers that they do see might be a really small farmer on the edge of town. And so I think it is really useful to enter into a dialogue with people that are involved in producing our food, because quite frankly, a lot of what appears on social media isn't true. You can't believe everything you
on
read.
The internet, really?
Yeah, and it's easy to be fearful and scared about food. And that's really one of the main reasons for writing this Food Police book. Was I just felt like so many consumers, even my wife, were fearful about things they were eating. And I thought, when you contrast that with the evidence, actually our food supply has never been better, it's never been safer, that a lot of our fears, I think, are really misplaced, I think.
And we have just skimmed the surface in your book, The Food Police, but really quickly, kind of what makes you see red in general, because you've been doing research obviously for years on this.
Yeah, I think two things. One is this sort of idea that there's sort of an elite that knows better how you and I should be eating, and they're willing to enact those preferences sometimes into law. So, if you want to pay twice the price for organic strawberries, I think that's great. I have nothing against that. But to force that choice on people, or to pass laws that effectively get us to do that, I think is a mistake, because not everyone in life is so fortunate to be willing to pay twice as much for food. So this sort of paternalism is one, and the other side of it is that I think there really is a vast misunderstanding about the science of food and technology, and there are a lot of really great things we can expect from the use of science and technology in food.
Well, thank you so much, Jayson. If you want to hear more, of course, you can grab his book. We need to educate ourselves, apparently, The Food Police, and then also he will be at a lecture this afternoon, 3:30 at the University of Alberta. For more details, head to our website at breakfasttelevision.ca. It is 6:56. We return with news, weather, and traffic at the top of the hour.